Good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings. We meet again. Hope you're all having a nice time on planet Earth, wherever you are. Right, this is going to be a little bit more follow-up of Lucan, but also a lot of you, thank you very much for your comments last night on the video about the death threats from the Sugars, and a lot of you have said, have I reported it to the police? So I felt it's quite important for the benefit of society and possibly some of the Sugars, although I doubt they'll listen, to understand how modern policing works when it comes to things online. First of all, can you imagine how difficult it is for the police? There will be millions of nutters out there. There are 7.4 billion people on planet Earth. There will literally be millions, which is a fraction of the population, on social media issuing death threats or things that could be perceived as death threats or outright death threats on social media every minute of every hour of every day, 24 hours round the clock. It also creates border issues. For example, we're in Spain, work in Gibraltar, the trolls may be in the UK, they may be in the USA, they may be in Lesotho, or Lesotho, however it's pronounced. They could be absolutely anywhere, so you're looking at real cross-border problems. It's kind of why there's the Five Eyes theory and system, although I don't know if we're still part of that after certain political movements. So the police are confronted with an overwhelming problem. Me, for example, if I was going to report this crime to the police, the UK police won't take a complaint from me because I'm not in the UK. Do you see what I mean? If I went to Gibraltar, the RGP would struggle just as much because although it's the UK, Gibraltar is an overseas territory. So the way it works these days is, and because there just isn't the resources or the manpower, a lot of the work is done by AI. So instead of traditionally visiting a police station and making a complaint, firstly, the police would say, well, who's behind this account? There's another ton of work they've got to do to trace and track the individual behind the account. That would require the help of the social media platform. Do you see what I mean? So when you comment and say, I hope you've reported this to the police. No, I haven't. Well, yes, I have, and no, I haven't. Excuse me. And the perpetrators themselves have already reported it to the police. They don't seem to understand really how it works. Basically, ever since telephones became mainstream, there've been trigger words. You phone someone up, you say the word terrorist, you say the word bomb, red flags going up. What's going on here? What kind of a conversation is this? That's to take it back to the basic olden days. Now with social media, for sure, when someone types words like assassination, assassin, terrorist, bomb, machine guns, when they type those kind of words, they're automatically flagged up. And especially when you put their at GCHQ, at whatever police force, whether that's Suffolk, Merseyside, Met, whichever one, it flags it up. The AI is going to pick that up straight away. It's going to be put on a list and highlighted to a certain department, which is probably also being controlled by a more sophisticated AI, and so on, until it's narrowed down so that they can maximise the resources that are used by the police. So when a lot of you ask, are the police aware of this? For sure. They're watching this channel, they're watching my X account, 100%, I can guarantee you it's being watched. Not only by police officers, but by journalists. So each and every time these Sugars issue death threats and make crap up, it's all being watched and it's already all being collated. So don't worry about that. Now, some of you say don't feed the trolls or this idea of block and ignore. No, especially not when it's a paid, orchestrated campaign. Imagine you've got somebody out there in the world saying that you have stolen money, and they are repeatedly saying that, and over again. Like I think it was Gurn who said, if you say something enough times, it becomes fact. Look at Prince Andrew and how many people have fallen for this, that he's a paedophile, when he is clearly not a paedophile. That is an incorrect term and phrase. But you can see how, and I mean, that's overwhelming for him to counter, and he's a member of the British royal family, so I mean, he just can't. But for each and every individual, people have a right to address defamation and threats. It's not a question of feeding trolls. It's a question of standing up to them and dealing with it. Now, a lot of you have said, Twitter has become worse since Elon bought it. Well, I'd just like to bring into mind, I know we live in this sort of Instagram speed lightning, I want a decision today, tomorrow, like the royal family, take the titles, delete the website, do it now, I demand. Life doesn't work like that in the real world, and I think we all have to remember that our lives online are way too lightning fast, and Elon has owned Twitter, I think, for only just over a year, and he had a hell of a battle to buy it in the first place. I think it was only last September or October that he introduced the system where everybody ultimately will have to have a blue tick. And he's doing this in phases. That was only a few months ago. Believe me, what's going to happen is people who have their traditional Twitter accounts and behave themselves, and they didn't have to give bank details, they didn't have to pay for anything, and they didn't have to give ID. They will continue to have their ex-Twitter accounts, no problem. But for new people who want to sign up as of a certain point, I'm not sure if it's March this year, I can't remember the deadline, but he says that it's going to be $1 a year because then the person has to provide bank details. This will then prevent these troll farms and bot farms, because to have 1 million bots, you've got to have 1 million bank accounts. It's going to cost $1 million. It's all getting a lot more difficult and complicated. And then once people have the blue tick, that is going to help the police. Anyone who's just enjoying free speech, being cheeky, spicy, bitchy, yeah, that's all fine. But you start saying you have been warned, I'm going to come at you with something worse than a machine gun, then I can go to the police. They will have a department. Believe me, this is the future that's coming. And they will go to X and say, can I have the bank details? And that is a breadcrumb. That's a line of hope. It's a lot more difficult to fake a form of payment. It's possible, but there are always little footprints that then the police have got some idea of where this is coming from. So Elon, it's a work in progress. And it's almost like a huge social experiment. Not only have we all, I believe, been horribly manipulated by these bot and troll farms over political ideology, but by maybe enemy states, also by these vanity projects of celebrities pumping up and faking their popularity or twisting and changing the narrative. It's not only that. I think generally human beings in general are beginning to learn that free speech does not include that you can go out and defame people, spew shit about people, and you certainly cannot threaten to kill people or assault people in any way, shape or form. Those are big no-nos. That is not free speech. Now, most of you guys, I see it in the comments all the time. You already say that because you're decent human beings and you don't really need laws to tell you how to behave. Unfortunately, there are people out there that do need laws to tell them how to behave. So basically, when you're on X, my advice is if somebody makes a threat against you, by all means reply to them, even if you just reply the @ sign, and you can copy in whichever police force you either live in or you feel is relevant to the situation. Because it will go through an AI, and that person may have tweeted death threats at a lot of other people, and it all builds rather than just reporting accounts. Now, some people say, why does Elon not have an algorithm already where if somebody posts the word assassination, bomb or terrorist, they just lose their account? Well, it's because, I suppose, of the context or the way in which it has been said. Have people used the words bomb, terrorist, paedophile, whatever, in a different context that an AI can't really establish? So, and I also believe he's waiting for the day, he's biding his time. In fact, I was saying to Graham last night, it'd be quite funny actually if he could access everybody's camera just all simultaneously, and I believe this is possible. Everybody who's on X, that their own device camera could go click and then display it on their own Twitter account. I know it's probably going to horrify a lot of you, but can you imagine if it turned out to be famous people? There's a famous face there, an angry face, tweeting away, and everyone goes, oh my God, it was that person behind that account all that time. Oh, well, technology. I've always believed from the day the internet was born, because the day the internet was born was the day trolls were born, generally speaking, and I've always known that the time will come that people will be discovered if they think they've got secret names and they say stuff on the internet. There will come a time when all will be revealed. Who will give a shit by then? I don't know. Right, now, I'm just working, I've made a list because there is something else about Archwell coming. Oh yes, some of you have said, can't believe YouTube's allowing this. This is not a YouTube problem. YouTube are not allowing this. They've actually been really good. They've been, like almost, I've got a force field around my channel for some reason. I don't know why. For example, that Ladyboy video that I uploaded, they deleted it. I uploaded it a second time, they deleted it. And the next day I got what's called a warning. And they said, this is against community guidelines, but we can see why you made the video. We have watched and reviewed it, and we do understand where you're coming from and the point you're trying to make. So on this occasion, you're not going to get a community strike. What you've got is a warning. And please don't do it again. So I won't. But I have no strike. So there are people watching my channel, and I think they're very interested in it all. Now, I think I'll do the next part. Oh yeah, the Lucan stuff. The Lord Lucan case is still an open murder case for Sandra Rivet, the victim. And I found this thing from the Information Commissioner's office where somebody, I'm assuming a close family member, has tried to apply for all the police evidence, witness statements, etc., of all witnesses that are dead and photographic evidence of the crime scene, etc., etc. I think they applied in 2014, they applied again in 2016, and they applied again in 2017. And the Information Commissioner has said no on all three applications. And I read their reasons for saying no, and I fully agree. Their argument is this is an open murder investigation. In the inconceivable light that Lord Lucan were to be alive and were to be guilty, he'd be in his 80s, and that they did cite cases of like Nazis that were caused open investigations and had to face trial. So I do understand why the Information Commissioner has said no, they're not going to force the Met Police to release all of the evidence. So it's kind of sketchy, but I found lots of other stuff. And one of you said that Lady Lucan didn't live out her days at the house, but at Eaton Row. Well, Eaton Row is that was the guest house at the bottom of the garden. The front door, main house, was Lower Belgrave something, number 46, and I think that the guest house at the back that had another entrance, and that was Eaton Row. So, and they found stuff under the floorboards as well, letters that she'd written and stuff when the builders were fitting electrics. There's stuff where she was talking about defamation and things like that. But I will look into it further. The coroner's, the inquest that they had, I just don't know where the hell to get hold of that, but I am working on it. Now, the next part of this video is going to be about Meghan and Harry's Netflix docu-series, because there's been a little bit of an interesting development there. Okay everybody, this is the part about Archwell Productions. One in the comments yesterday said to me, had I noticed that on the Archwell website, Archwell Productions, that the only production that's listed is Heart of Invictus, and that the Harry and Meghan Netflix thing had disappeared. Now, I don't know for sure if the Harry and Meghan thing was actually there before or not. But the implication was because of Samantha Markle's lawsuit, because Harry and Meghan featured Christopher Boozy on their Netflix docuseries of which they had full editorial control. This is actually the end and the titles of that particular episode where Samantha Markle and Boozy, all that was in that. So I've paused it here so you can all see the last credits and the logo of Archwell Productions. There is no getting out of this. Deleting it from websites, not talking about it, pretending it never happened isn't going to work. It happened, it was said, Christopher Boozy was in it, and Christopher Boozy is linked to a lot of sugars and these people who issue death threats. There's no getting out of that, no denying that. So I thought I'd just play this so you can all see, and I'm doing this under fair use and fair dealing in case of any copyright strike. I have turned the music down and we can all watch. Story Syndicate. Oh look, here it comes. Archwell Productions. So I do believe that Meghan and Harry had full editorial control over that. There is simply no getting out of it. In fact, I just can't see where things are going to go for her, other than from bad to worse. It's really quite extraordinary to see how someone can go through an act of self-destruction like that. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you all very much for listening, and as as always, look forward to your thoughts and opinions and free speech. But if you could leave the death threats and defamation out, that would be great. I'm only joking. I never see that here on YouTube. I never see that here. And we live in hope for X under the flagship of Elon Musk. He's a busy guy, but I've got faith he'll get round to it.